So, Jason, what's going on with Brock Lesnar? Because that's the one thing that we wanted to discuss in this clip. So, as you can see from the highlighted section there, experts hesitant on Brock Lesnar at UFC 200. Right, Brock Lesnar at UFC 200 has caused an enormous amount of, I would say, exposure that's already added to a stacked card. We have John Jones versus Daniel Cormier, finally the second round of that to see what happens. So when Brock Lesnar was announced, Jason, everyone was taken back. They had a full commercial that people have stated, which is untrue, by the way, is better than the Nike ad, the Switch, which I have to disagree with.
And it's not as good as, it wasn't as good as the original McGregor-Aldo trailer, No Church in the Wild.
That was a phenomenal song, and that was a phenomenal ad. And how did that ad go down, Jason? Great. And how did the fight go down?
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. It
had to happen later.
So what is going on with Brock Lesnar at UFC 200?
All right, so we have a couple of UFC Hall of Famers from the old guard, as we call it. We got Ken Shamrock, we have Don Frye, two of which saying that they don't think Lesnar has a chance against Mark Hunt. And while Mark Hunt is a big, strong, athletic, experienced fighter who packs a lot of power, he does, man. This guy walks around like he owns the octagon. And that's the kind of confidence that you want out of your UFC fighters, out of your MMA fighters in general. Don Frye, who was in UFC 6, by the way. So this is when he's responding to Brock's fight at UFC 200. Mark Hunt is going to destroy him. It's going to be such a fun fight to watch Mark kick his head off, so I'm looking forward to it. Mark's an animal. Yeah, he's an animal. I mean, goddamn, he's one of the best fighters walking the planet. You know, and he's got the strength and the speed and the skill. And shit, he's like 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Actually 5'10". But I think he was alluding to his just power. And then also Ken Shamrock, in a two-part quote, kind of had a different point of view. I appreciate people making decisions and doing things that they want to do, but I think he's jumped back and forth, speaking about Lesnar, too many times from wrestling to fighting to wrestling to fighting. I mean, this is the third time around, I believe. I think it's going to hurt him. It's going to mess up his ... You've got to have consistency. He continues to say, when you're a professional athlete, you have to do something for a period of time. If he continues to keep going, he did wrestling first, then he did MMA, then he goes back to wrestling, and now he's back to MMA again. I don't think he's really stabilized himself or set an example for himself in the MMA. I mean, he was there a short time, then he was gone. I mean, he's really done more in pro wrestling than he's done in anything else. I mean, he's gone from MMA back to wrestling, back to MMA. I mean, that probably consistency in the MMA. That's what he kept. Sorry, he just kept repeating his point, I guess. But
okay, so
that was Ken Shamrock.
I'm not too surprised that people are going to doubt his coming back to the octagon. Brock Lesnar, similar to his stature, it's his name, it's everything that he stands for. He is a charismatic athlete in this industry, and people want to see him fight. Just aesthetically, it's astounding to see a man of that size, who's always been that size, by the way. Throw up the old image of him from high school, I believe.
His college wrestling days.
He looked like he had a twin and ate him. And he is humongous. The next point I wanted to make is MMA analysts out there, MMA fans that have been watching him for a long time will probably have been like, yeah, they expect him to come into the octagon and entertain. Like, if we look at his last fight, I believe it was against Alistair Overeem, he took a ridiculous amount of punches to the body, and it had its effect on a man of that size. It's all about how you distribute your weight, and he is, look at it, simply put, Mark Hunt's not a small man either. Brock Lesnar's not a small man. It's all about how you utilize your size to your advantage. And I feel that Brock Lesnar was susceptible to body punches and susceptible to utilizing his massive size against him by working his cardio down and taking away his air and taking away his lungs. And that's what Alistair Overeem did. And he's against Cain Velasquez as well, very similar, TKO through punches, and was unable to withstand such, I would say, aggression and understand the level that these fighters were able to perform at. Because when you are such a big man, again, if you go out and you gash yourself out way too early, you're leaving yourself susceptible to someone who's maybe a little bit more experienced. And I'm not saying Brock Lesnar's not experienced.
And more conditioned. Which we see a lot of times, not in this, because it's not a championship fight, it's not 5 rounds, but that's like one of the major things you see in contenders for champions, is those guys like John Jones who will drag you out to 5 rounds. He's like, he'll wait till round 4 to put a beating on you just because he knows that he's more conditioned than everybody else.
And the last
not
point
in his
on
last
this,
fight, but the John Jones before the
last point for me is that there may be some people that don't agree and some people that will ignite the comment section with thoughts on the fact that wrestling, you have to be in pristine shape, which you do. But let's be honest, it's a different kind of shape. It's more of an aesthetic shape. And as far as we know from wrestling, full protocol taken into consideration, there may be some ways that you can get into that shape from wrestling that doesn't involve all of the hard work that's needed to be a conditioned fighter within the rules. Just stating.
Talking about protein shakes, right?
Yeah, talking about just protein shakes. So, let's put that out on the page there. Let's have that conversation. I'm not trying to state that the WWE has steroid abusers all the time that are doing things not unethically.
But they do.
But they do. And
That's their articles, their sources.
And if it goes within those boundaries that are a lot more lenient in the WWE to a very strict sport as we see in the UFC, is that maybe that sort of conditioning, that level, he will need to adjust a little bit, and it might not be the easiest transition. I'm not saying that Brock Lesnar hasn't got a chance here. I'm not going to go along with the experts here in Ken Shamrock and what he's stating, but I just think that there's a lot to be considered with this comeback. Is he never left on the highest terms going from UFC to WWE. Right. He never left on a ridiculous winning record. I think that it's just the name. It's the everything that goes along with such a massive man and everything that he stood for, very charismatic as well. It's going to be an entertaining fight, and he can win. But I'm not surprised that people are betting against him.
So, by the way, Brock Lesnar claims that he didn't get the call. He called Dana White and company to get back in the UFC. He's pulling the Heisenberg. I am the one who knocks. Take a look at the video interview.
Dana White didn't call me up for this. I made the phone call.
Marty Morgan again is your lead coach?
Marty Morgan, yeah, the list goes on. When there's guys that want to be a part of this, and they want to be a part of it not just because they want to be part of it. I want to go back into that octagon. I want to have fun. The lasting memories of me as an Ultimate Fighter
I think what he's going to say aren't the best moments for him, because he lost. He lost 2 consecutive fights.
He said he felt like he was missing something when he went back to WWE, and he keeps making that change. He felt like he was missing something. And I think what you're missing in that situation is if you are capable of fighting in the UFC and UFC and MMA in general, I'm speaking now subjectively. I think there's something more to gain from a championship belt or contend for one or just be in that kind of action as compared to the WWE. While I'm not taking any shot at the WWE for not being the UFC, one of which is not scripted. And that's a major, I think, part of Brock Lesnar's competitive spirit.
Yeah, and he wants to, I know what athletes think about, right? No matter what stage you compete at, is you always want to remember the highest point. And his highest point, defeating someone like Randy Couture back in 2008, that's going to play in his memory.
It's one of the bigger draws too.
That's where he was that's where he was taken so seriously. He's always been taken seriously. A guy that size, you need to take him serious.
Look at his hat. He has a shirt that says Suplex City. I want to go to Suplex City. Yeah, not on the other end of Suplex City.
Imagine he combined like a rest. I'd love to see him just DDT someone else.
How could his tagline or catchphrase not be "You entered the wrong end of Suplex City"? Just drop people.
All right, well, we will look to see how this fight pans out. It's going to be interesting to see.